Filming going on again?
Yeah, just a little interview.
Oh,
Yeah.
what is it that attracts people to, whoever does this, to Surrey? Cloverdale, what attracts?
It's funny, that's actually the subject of the little interview we're shooting. I think it's the beauty of the town, its authenticity.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. A little old Cloverdale, put it on the map.
Put it on the map, exactly.
Have a good day.
Have a nice day. My name is Matthew Hall. I'm a location manager in Vancouver, British Columbia. I've worked on a number of shows over my 11-year career, mostly for Warner Brothers, but I've worked for Fox and Disney as well, a number of which have shot in the Fraser Valley, in and around the Fraser Valley, including Cloverdale. The work done in the city to preserve the aesthetic and the historic look of the town lends itself to being the bones for so many different settings that share the same feeling. And for a lot of audiences, these spaces, they're not as common anymore. So it kind of, we're showing them what a small town looks like. And Cloverdale just creates a perfect backdrop. The different iconic buildings and graphics really help sell that. There's an authenticity to its look that means that with a relatively light amount of set dressing, whether it be picture vehicles or flower baskets, our own signage, it's really easy to convince the audience that we're somewhere different. So Cloverdale plays itself, but in doing so, it's a different town. I would love to say that every time we come to Cloverdale, we want it to be set in Cloverdale, in Surrey, British Columbia, but that's just not the nature of the industry. But it still gets to kind of showcase what it is, even when it's not being itself, and that's kind of true for a lot of the film industry in Vancouver. That's the more interesting parts we get to pretend are other places.
This is where it all went down. Devil's Kettle sounds twisted, I know, but the place is just named after a waterfall.
When looking for a small town, there's elements that need to be taken into consideration, whether it be a seaside town, a lakeside town, depending on where it's set in the world. It really gets more specific about which of the communities are willing to host the show during whatever the time frame may be, and kind of the vision of both the production designer, the location manager, the producer director, and the other members of the key creative team. I'm currently considering Cloverdale for a project I'm working on because we do have that kind of Pacific Northwest coast, small town, American feel, and Cloverdale works very well. One of the challenges Vancouver faces is how busy of a film center it is. So, there's less of a novelty towards filming, and it's more of just a reality of most people's lives in the Fraser Valley. So there's always the fear of film fatigue because there's only so many communities that have that certain kind of small town feel, and a lot of them are seasonal as well. So it's about knowing when they're going to welcome you and when they're not. Avoiding Steveston in the summer is a great example of that because they do the majority of their business over that time, whereas other communities are less seasonal dependent and there's a bit more of a utility to the town. The aesthetic has been maintained, but it's a place where people live and work. It's not just for tourists, and Cloverdale is a great example of that. It's a real downtown to service this area. It's not just for people coming to visit. Cloverdale has had a history long before the film industry arrived in Vancouver and Surrey. But I think with each production that comes through, it does add just a little bit more. In the same way that, the coffee shops and antique stores draw a wide audience of people to Cloverdale, there's a more niche one that kind of comes almost every year. And that's people seeking out the former film locations within the city, whether it be, Smallville fans with the Clovis Cinema, Peacemaker fans with the closed thrift store on 176A, or behind me, the Bowerberg building, which was Cerberus for 4 seasons of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. It kind of introduces a whole new group of people to Cloverdale who get to see it through that new lens. And Cloverdale itself is learning to embrace that and has learned to embrace that.
She found herself.
Oh yeah, no, this is good.
This is there's her cousin, and that's Jake right in front.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yep.
So yeah, so
That's amazing.
There you go. Bit of history, eh?
yeah, that's awesome. You're on the wall.
Crazy. I made it.